That was incredible last night. To see the Spurs throttled at home in that manner, and then the final score of 126-99 does not indicate
game was never close
at all. And the Rockets just they came up with a game plan that they executed with 22 threes. They went 22 of 50 from three-point range. I mean, that number is ridiculous. It just, you know how these coaches and players take a look at the stat sheet, you know, at halftime and then the end of the game to just see, you know, how it all played out in black and white with the numbers based on how they thought they did during the game. They're always looking up at the scoreboard that's hanging from, invariably, the center of the arena's roof. I mean, 22 of 50 is ridiculous. The 53-pointers was an NBA record. The 22 made was a record for the Rockets. It was a record loss in the playoffs for the San Antonio Spurs. James Harden sat out the entire fourth quarter. He had 20 points and 14 assists anyway. The only player in NBA history to have 20 points or more or 14 assists or more in the same playoff game to play 32 minutes or fewer was Magic, who did it twice. Harden and the Rockets are on a roll, and it is, you don't want to, it's not, I don't want to be knee-jerk here, even though I have a knee, and you may think this is a jerk statement. But the Rockets playing this way, with this style of play, I think they could beat the Warriors.
Oh man, really?
Yeah, I do.
They could easily go out and lose by 30 in Game 2 to the San Antonio.
Well, didn't that happen a couple of years ago where the Spurs got wiped out in Game 1 of a playoff series? We had Marv on the show, and we're like, okay, that's the end of that series. And Marv was like, hold on a minute. And then the Spurs actually won the series. Like, we may be talking on the show the day after the next game between these two. When do they play next? Next week? Is that Game 2's next week?
I think it's 2 weeks out, Rich.
Is it 2 weeks away?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is in fact Wednesday night. Yeah.
Wow.
We may be on the show Thursday talking about the Spurs setting a record for Game 1 loss deficit and Game 2 winning margin. We may be doing that, like the largest in the history of the NBA. That's entirely possible, obviously. But up-tempo, making threes, reining it in, and forcing you to score more. Obviously, you're playing the Warriors' style of basketball in that manner, but maybe you could do it better than Golden State with somebody like Harden. And I know that Golden State's got all those guys. But I saw that last night, and I'm like, maybe there is, if they can play this way, get past the Spurs and get to the Warriors. Maybe the Western Conference Finals isn't just dormy. You don't think so?
As much as I would like to think so, as much as I'm not a Warriors fan at all, it would be great for the game if someone else was in there.
I was just thinking that last night.
I don't see it.
I thought Popovich took the loss well with the media. They asked him for a question. He answered it. At one point, there was nobody asked him a question. It was very Belichickian of the silence where he would look across and everyone's just like, okay, the media's thinking, what are we going to ask him? What are we going to ask him? Because basically, after a loss like that is the simple questions of what went wrong, how do you fix it,
right?
How do you make sure it is not a snowball effect?
Yeah.
Here was a part of the post-game presser with Pop last night.
Pop, really, there's nothing for us to ask except to get your take on what the heck just happened.
We lost, and they won, and they played better.
There you go. That was the start. But then he did expound on something, and somebody did ask him about the snowball effect, and he's just like what? Like, am I afraid that these guys aren't going to show up, that they're not professional? And he's, no, I'm not concerned about that. And then it did one point did say along the lines of, hey, any more questions? I mean, it's too late to go anywhere else. We're all here.
Right.
I mean, what else are you going to do except slop it off and see what happens in Game 2?
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.